What's up, everybody? April 11th edition of the Fightful MMA podcast. Yours truly, Joe Farrar. Make sure you follow me online at Showdown Joe. Give us all a follow at Fightful MMA. Make sure you hit FightfulMMA.com for all of your mixed martial arts news. It is Tuesday. It is 3:08 p.m. I nearly lost today's guest. Before we came on air, he completely broke my heart, mended it, put it back together, and sent me a virtual hug with some good news. Elias Theodorou, thank you for being on this podcast.
Yes. I'm difficult. There's a lot of me running around, and thank you for giving me the email reminder as I was about to head out the door. But there you go. We are here right now. You have my undivided attention. I'll stop talking.
No worries. For those that don't know, I mean, Elias, as you can tell, if you follow this podcast on a regular basis, he is in Montreal right now, but he is heading home to this area, Toronto, which, by the way, Elias, right before I sent you the link for the show, it began pouring outside. It's been a fantastic day. I spent my morning in Aurora and Newmarket taking care of some business for my other stuff.
Nice.
And then I came home. It was beautiful. I said, you know what? I'm going to take care of some stuff outside when I'm done with Elias, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, maybe I'm not going to go outside. What's it like over there?
It's not too bad. It's a little muggy. I think it's not really raining, but I think I'll transition somewhere in between there. I'll get the best of all worlds.
Yeah, safe drive. 4-1 home can be sort of hectic at times, but hopefully you get past the Montreal traffic when we're done this show here, and then by the time you get to Toronto, the 5-hour drive, if you're doing the speed limit, we'll get you past rush hour traffic here. Now, as always, ladies and gentlemen, I wait a few minutes moving forward whenever I open up the podcast because a few viewers have to come in. We have the live chat. If you want to join us on the live chat on the top right of your screen, please, by all means, put up some thoughts, questions, concerns. We're going to recap some UFC 210 because I want to get Elias's thoughts on a variety of debacles that happened at UFC 210. First things first, I mean, I can get to each and every one of that topic, but if you had to surmise the Spartans' thoughts, hashtag the main event's thoughts on what happened in Buffalo, what would you say? Note
to self, do not fight in New York, most likely.
That bad, eh?
I don't know. Whether it's the beginning of the weigh-ins and Daniel Cormier becoming the 206.2 champion of the world, or just the weirdness and debacle that happened with Weidman. Those are obviously the two extremes. But again, it's a young commission in regards to understanding mixed martial arts. They are behind the curve, definitely. You have other examples of commissions that have really taken the charge, some like California, Nevada, obviously, and some others in between. I think it's unfortunate thing, and especially more unfortunate if you're on the losing side of something like that.
That wrestling trick, the old wrestling trick with the towel, I pleaded ignorance. I had no idea that was one of the oldest tricks in the book. And I remember when I posted some of the pictures, I posted the picture of him missing weight, and then I posted the picture of him after he made weight. Now, the picture I took of him after he made weight was when his hands were off the towel. So people were like, oh, look at you, Showdown, you're a jerk. And I'm like, I'm posting a picture of the guy making weight. But what happened?
Yeah.
That's the oldest trick in the book. He held the towel. I'm like, wait a second. What do you mean held the towel? So apparently, did you know about this trick?
For sure.
Really, eh?
For sure.
Wow, I didn't know. You basically press down on the towel, and it kind of lifts you off the scale a little bit.
Anything. No, not even that, man. Like, if you just put your fingers on the table, not even, like, actually pushing down. Of course, there's pushing down to make it more. You just put your fingers. There's a couple of pounds that you're taking off your hands. And if we're talking about a pound, it's so easy. Just me just doing this. There goes the weight of my hands. I'm just literally just putting my hands right here. That just takes the weight of my hands. That's probably a pound right here, easily. One could even say you don't actually have to lift it. So him pushing is him to try and brace himself. Because again, there's a difference between someone when they're dead weight, and when you don't want to get picked up and you're dead weight, or you want to allow someone to help you pick you up. Think of the idea of the difference between a drunk person and someone that's injured. The injured person wants you to help them, but the drunk person's just kind of dead weight. It's how you carry yourself, and it's obvious what he was doing.
Well, again, I'm sorry to everyone who tuned in. I was unaware of one of the oldest tricks in the book. It was brought to my attention afterwards. It was brought to my attention as well by Sean Ross Sapp and a few other people. I had no idea that this was possible, which is, It was just crazy because he literally weighed in and 90 seconds later came back and everything was fine. And I thought, I don't know if he went to the bathroom that quick, because that was too quick of a turnaround. And 9 times out of 10, if you're going to make weight, you've already gone to the bathroom.
No,
Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%. I just, it's the bit for me. I'm a little frustrated in general because I've met him. I'm bigger than him. Like he's 5'10", and just but he's a Mack truck, obviously, and he's the best in the world technically. So you can't take away too much from him, especially considering he did come down from heavyweight too. But I think the underlying issue is the idea that how he could not make 205 in the first place, and he looked drained. And it's for me, it's the bigger issue of that. But again, don't hate the player, hate the game. It's not illegal unless you get caught.
Yeah. I will say, okay, I'll say what Daniel said afterwards in the post-fight press conference, but I want to click on that live chat real quick and see Graham Williams said, "Towels are magic," with a happy face. This is an MMA show, Graham. This is not a Hugh Hefner, who, by the way, happy birthday to the original Playboy. This is not a Hugh Hefner show, Graham Williams, okay? I know exactly what you're doing here, all right? Towels are magic, yes. And Elias understands the magic of towels in another life. We won't talk about that. Fightful. The towel trick got me from 150.5 to 149.9 for a tournament once. So yes, whomever's manning, it could be Sean Ross Sapp manning the Fightful account right now. If not, let me know who it is. But yeah, this thing has been going on. So I was completely unaware of this, other than the fact that I'm an idiot. I'll tell you why I'm an idiot. I'll get to Daniel Cormier in a second, Elias. My son, who's 6 years old, I'm trying. It is Sean Ross Sapp, by the way. I'm trying to get him to weigh in on the bathroom scale, the digital scale that I have in my bathroom upstairs, at 50 pounds. He's 6 years old, 6.5. I just want the little guy to make 50 pounds. And I realized I should have known this, because every time he steps on the scale, he has his hands on the side of the ceramic of the hot tub. I'm like, get your hands off there. It's got to be a good weight. I'm an idiot. I never thought of that. My own son taught me a lesson. 6.5 years old. I should have known better, Elias.
There you go. You learn something new every day.
Hashtag loser. But Daniel did say this. Daniel did say this at the post-fight press conference. He needs to respect the fact that to be a champion, he has to monitor his weight a lot better now, because he screwed up. He admittedly said he screwed up during this training camp. Now, when I got to Buffalo and I saw him for the first time on Wednesday, he looked much skinnier. He had the chisel in his jaw and his upper cheekbone. I thought, this guy's going to be fine. But clearly not. So, I mean, this guy's got to take his weight serious. I mean, listen, we're all humans. You're a human. I'm sure there's been times in a camp where you're like, I'm going to have this, but I know guys that are extremely disciplined as well. So,
yeah, no, and I've been guilty of this myself. Now, obviously, luckily, the last cut was the easiest cut ever. I'm, not necessarily like the trouble always ends up being in between camps, where you're like, oh, I deserve this, oh, I did this, or whatever. So like with me, it was just becoming an adult. Just the idea where I would celebrate for a month after my fight, and you can't.
Did
really
you just say you're an adult?
Yes. Grown ass man child.
Good.
Grown ass man child. But the point being, I would like literally. Where was I going with this? But basically, the idea being, after a month from my last fight, I can't really say I'm celebrating the fruits of my last labor. I got to go make some new ones. So for me, it's always been the issue of the in-betweens. And something I also have to deal with in regards to as a professional athlete who eventually won't be a professional athlete. And not having the said structure that I have could be a difficult thing. And I think in regards to Daniel Cormier, I think it's just the idea that he's been through this, been an athlete for so long. So I can understand the urge where it's like the yo-yo diet, I wasn't allowed this for so long and I want it so much more now. Again, if you look back to his actual athletic career, he's been doing this for so long, but he also almost had kidney failure in the Olympics. So again, this is a guy that's been pushing it this whole life. And as a fellow fatty, I understand. So I can't really give him too much shit.
What'd you think of his epic promos
I love it.
before and
He's the
after?
heel. Go full heel, man. He's going full heel. Why not? They're not going to love him. Might as well embrace the booze.
I thought it
Hey,
was
chat.
very
Go on.
the strategy that he had, that no microphone is to be placed anywhere near John Jones and Jimmy Manoa, and at the post-fight press conference, he says those guys were there to sit there and take it. Take whatever I'm going to say, and you can't say nothing. Just take it. I'm like, this guy's embraced this heel thing. Amazing. I
Might
love
as
it.
well.
Absolutely thought it was fantastic.
I love it. They're not, like, he is one of the people that people love to hate. For whatever the kind of roller coaster that John Jones has played into this, and the idea that, his belt will always be under the shadow of the fake belt. In regards to John Jones, that's the only one that's beaten John Jones is John Jones. So again, and all the power to him, and I think he's really he's a great role model of someone that is champion, that is a fighter, that has done that. Sure, he has his faults when we talked about food and stuff like that, but I think as an overall person, family man, he's obviously his kids and his family are the apple of his eye and what he's fighting for. And although that's not everything in regards to a role model, I think he just presents himself as a great person prior to him going full heel, I guess, maybe, and what the shtick that he's gonna try and create. But I also think the person that's there is a great person. So I don't know. Again, with Daniel, it's like it's one of those things. He just seems like a sweetheart, and it's going to be exciting to see him kind of embrace this opposite side.
During the post-event recap that I did with Mike Straw on FightfulMMA.com, I put it out there, and I want to send an apology right now to Sean Ross Sapp, who I didn't ask this same question to. I'm sure he'll give me some sort of response in the chat, though, if he has a moment. Daniel Cormier, his only goal right now in mixed martial arts, in my opinion, is to defeat John Jones. And if he can defeat John Jones, he's going to retire. That is the only thing he hasn't, quote unquote, done in his career, is to be the man to defeat John Jones. And when he does that, I think he's going to hang up his gloves. What do you think?
I can totally see that. Why would he want to go to a second round? Like, who knows how it will happen? Like, there's so many what ifs. But yeah, I think even if he loses, he might retire, because there's rumblings that he might retire soon, anyways. Like, if Rumble beat him, the idea was he might have retired. So, well, at least that was the narrative that was kind of put out there. And I think there is some, whenever something's put out there for some reason, there is some kind of potential, whether it's something he said off cuff or whatever the case may be, or if there's something actually there. I think, again, it just also depends on his financials. Is a couple more fights? Like, when does the John Jones fight doesn't, like, there's nothing set yet. And what happens if he doesn't? Who knows if John Jones is ever going to fight again? Like, who knows what's going to happen? Is he going to fight? Is John Jones going to fight? I'm rambling. But the point being, yes, I can totally see that happening, because then again, he walks in the sunset. He did everything he needed to. And if he has his financials in set, and also the idea of his commentating gig, you can keep that going. Boom.
In terms of, so John Jones is apparently free to compete in July. Or DC, I don't believe will be ready in July because he's getting married next month. He's just going to unwind, enjoy marriage, enjoy his honeymoon, and then get back to being serious about training for the likes of John Jones. And if John Jones, like you said, we don't know when he's going to compete, Jimmy Manoa was right there. And Jimmy Manoa will be more than happy to get a title shot, which would be the pinnacle of his career thus far. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy Manoa is actually DC's next opponent, although DC won't like that. I'm sure he would like John Jones, obviously, for the bigger payday. But the fact is, if John Jones is taking on Daniel Cormier, it's a question we all, would he be the main event? And Dana said, no, it's not going to happen. To which Daniel Cormier said, okay, then Conor McGregor better be the headliner. What are your thoughts?
I can understand why they'd be afraid. Again, John Jones. Who knows if he'll make it? Who knows if he'll make it? Just so many what ifs. Again, it's one of those situations where so glad I don't have to make any of those decisions. Well, you would assume the money that goes along with it. But anyways, point being, what I was going to say is you can understand someone like Conor McGregor, and that might be perfect timing on whenever they end to actually fight with Conor coming back. And that's, again, if Conor comes back, because who knows if he's going to fight Mayweather now. Like, it's bananas. Bananas.
This is a strange era that we're in mixed martial arts. Hey, you guys in the live chat, why are you guys so quiet? Let's go. Come on, get some thoughts up there. Get some questions, suggestions up there. I know you guys are watching. I can see the numbers that are tuned in. So get some thoughts up there. Graham Williams, Towers are magic. I still love that one. That's my favorite one. Rumble Johnson, Anthony Rumble Johnson, obviously had his head already made up that he was going to retire, win or lose. The conversation that I had with Sean Ross Sapp and a bunch of media on Saturday night heading into Sunday morning was, my theory is that, and again, people, for those that don't know, Anthony is a friend, but I wasn't given any information ahead of time that he was going to do this. In my interviews with him, in my conversations with him leading up to this fight, he never hinted at anything that he was going to retire. So now the thought out there was, did Anthony Rumble Johnson throw this fight versus Daniel Cormier? Did he just say, you know what, I don't want to take any more? I'm going to just quit right now. I don't want to take any more abuse. Because my thought is the fact that the way he answered the question about the whole, he may be going to the NFL or trying out for the Rams and stuff like that, his reply was, why the heck would I leave a sport that I take concussive trauma now to go to another sport where I'm going to take concussive trauma? So no, I don't want to do that. It's been. So leads me to believe that Anthony is done with the hard training for mixed martial arts, doesn't want to take any more blows to the head, potentially may have got a result from a test that says, listen, you may want to reconsider your job because at this point, this is what's happening. I don't know. That's just pure speculation on my part. But the question is, do you think that there's a potential that he may have thrown the fight, or maybe just said, you know what, okay, I'm done. I'll tap out to a choke. That's perfect.
He threw the fight in some regard. He threw it in his actual desire to be there. He didn't want to be there. He already had a preconceived notion that he was going to retire. I've heard rumblings beforehand. I've heard rumblings for months, if not years, about Anthony. He hates training. He doesn't, whether it's him not wanting to be received, again, his whole thing is he doesn't want to be Rumble anymore. I think there's a lot of baggage that some people have to, be angry to be a fighter. And I think maybe he doesn't want to be angry in any way, shape, or form. I think, what's it called? He doesn't, like, I've heard for over a year that he's wanted to retire.
It's crazy because I thought, as weird as it sounds, I gave him the edge in the fight versus Daniel Cormier.
But he didn't show up to the fight. Of course. Yeah. I gave him the edge too, but he didn't show up in the fight. Didn't want to be there. He wrestled a way better wrestler who he knew would, he put up a fight. He stopped, like, he took him down, like, wicked. But
so speaking of taking him down, that's been the issue with a lot of the memes that we're seeing online now, and Henry Hooft in the corner of Anthony Rumble Johnson. If you can go, I mean, there's some transcriptions of what was discussed and what was said in the corner with the microphones on. Obviously, they were clearly upset. Now, Henry Hooft did post something on Instagram saying, it's forget the rumors, forget the speculation. He's absolutely thankful and wishes Anthony Johnson the best, but there was an emotional situation there where, like, they're like, what are you doing? This is not the game plan. This is not what we envisioned. This is not what we trained for. Stop wrestling with Daniel Cormier. Obviously, if you're wrestling, you're not taking as much damage, but he did take quite a bit of damage on the ground before he got choked out. So it sort of defeats the purpose. But what do you make of that whole corner situation? I mean, Sean Ross Sapp yesterday was adamant, you never, ever leave your fighter no matter what. I played devil's advocate, and I said, well, these guys are probably really emotional considering they put all this time in there to get Anthony ready for a specific game plan, months of emotional stress and psychological, physical. Then they get to the big show, they get to the event, and then that happens in front of them, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. They probably felt embarrassed. I mean, I don't know which way to go with this. What are your thoughts?
I think you're definitely right with that. I think there's just so many emotions, and especially when Anthony was already saying that he told people around him not to come. So again, it kind of does waste their time if he's already had this perceived notion. And again, he didn't fight a valiant fight. It's not like coach, I want to retire after this one. I'm going to give it everything I got. I'm going to just try and go out on guns a-blazing. Even like, again, it's his brain. It depends on what his purpose is, why he's quitting, whether it's his body or whether he just doesn't like it anymore. But I wouldn't understand why someone would not want to at least try their damnedest. He kind of, again, you said he took damage, but not anywhere in the realm of getting punched in the head. Those kind of, again, because there's, I don't know. I think with someone's actual hips, it's standing up. It's much worse. He quit. He went in there and gave up the fight. Whether you want to say throw it, gave up it. Disingenuous in regards to his actual attempt to become champion. I think it was something to be said about the idea that, I don't know, it really took away from the card.
Don't forget, guys, if you have anything to say regarding the anything regarding UFC 210, the upcoming Kansas card, by all means, the live chat is open. TJD Fins for Life. I see your comments. I'll try and get to them when I have a moment. Let me ask a couple more questions here regarding Anthony Rumble Johnson, DC, and this whole division. Anthony Johnson, though, in my opinion, as he's walking away from the sport, hanging up the gloves, do you think he's actually done? Do you think we will ever see him compete again? He did hint that if John Jones wants to fight one day, maybe at heavyweight. But right now, he's walking away. He's hanging up the gloves. DC, many people are like, they don't want to see Anthony Johnson leave because the division is so top heavy right now that, you just lose one of the only 3 or 4 guys in that division. They'd like to see him compete a bit more. But if Anthony's doing it, quote unquote, for health reasons, probably not going to come back. If he's doing it for financial reasons, probably isn't going to come back. Your take on all this?
Just don't really know what his actual reasons are. And anyone can be unretired. Look at George. He's been gone for 3.5 years. And he's, you know what I mean? So everyone's got a price. I'm sure of it. So that's kind of the situation that I have it. And it's so fresh. How many people have retired and unretired and retired and unretired? But the more important thing is obviously his lack of desire to be in there is in there. And especially with the last performance, everyone, if he does come back, everyone will question his actual true motives and whether he's, his heart's actually in it or whether he wants to really be there. If he needs money, does he come back just for a couple of bucks? Like, who knows?
A lot of MP basically said Rumble didn't give a fuck. He wasted everyone. I just swore. Whoa, that's odd. Okay.
Well, you're quoting someone. No, you're quoting someone. Doesn't count.
Okay.
Count. Loophole.
Rumble didn't give AF. He wasted everyone's time at the end of the day. That's what MP just posted.
I think he's wrong.
Yeah, TJD Fins for Life. I'm going to get to your question in a second regarding the middleweight division because I want to get Elias since it's his division that he competes in. Gegard Mousasi and Chris Weidman. Boy, was that ever debacle, to the point that Chris Weidman basically stated at the post-fight press conference that his team, a.k.a. Ray Longo, Matt Serra, and others, said, don't ever compete in this state ever again. We're taking our services elsewhere. You're not competing in the state of New York ever again. I mean, that was a crazy scenario. In the end, unfortunately, Dan Miragliotta is the one that sort of messed all this up. He made the incorrect decision. It's real time. He's the one that has to make that decision in front of, thousands in attendance and millions watching around the world. He did what he did. It was incorrect, but unfortunately for Weidman, that's 3 losses in a row now. What do you make of that whole scenario?
Note to self: probably never fight in New York. And the irony of him being the one that actually helped put it together, like helped championed it and pushed it into actually happening. He was there while the signing was there. I feel for the guy. Also, you can see, devil's advocate. The idea being he was trying to play the system, and that's what Mousasi eventually talked about.
People don't want to talk about that. People don't want to talk about that Weidman was playing the system. So
yeah, he was taking, it was, and that's the issue. Like that's why, like some people, even when they get hurt, whether it's downed opponent, kick to the junk, poke in the eye, you don't want the adrenaline going down. So he was trying to take some time, and he was in a bad position. And Dana White even said it at one point. Was there a chance that he was coming back? But I think at that point, in many ways, he was getting, Mousasi was getting the better of him. And I think he was in a precarious position, and he was trying either not only the rest, but also the hand placement. He was trying to game the system, and the system backfired on him. And it just shows, again, like debacle, it just shows the unknowing commission that doesn't really know what they're doing.
Yeah, so I mean, TJ Defense for Life is making a point here. He made this yesterday. Big John McCarthy would have kicked out those doctors and resumed the fight if he was the ref. Yes, but he was not. I don't know if he was at liberty to tell Dan what to do, because the only thing technically that he's allowed to do was answer the question that Dan asked, was if those knees were legal or illegal. And John said the knees were legal. And at that point there, Dan, in my opinion, should have walked over to the doctor and said, no more checking the fighter. The fighter is down for a reason. He got hit with illegal knees. You either stop the fight, doctor,
Yeah.
you stop the fight, or you get out of the octagon
Well, that's
and
what
we
they
restart
did.
this fight.
Well, that's what they did.
But hold on. Here's my issue. The doctor, quote unquote, stopped the fight. It was announced by Bruce Buffer that Dan Miragliotta stopped the fight due to TKO. You see where I'm going with this? He never stopped the fight.
No, they're
If the
just
doctor
confused on the
stopped the
rules.
fight,
They just confused on the rules. They're just like it's
yeah.
confused on the rules. There's clarification, and there's like it's confusing as hell. It's just confusing with a lot of could we do this? Should we do this? What you to see? What I see? What's the replay say? Blah blah blah. It's confusing as fuck. And unfortunately, Weidman finds himself under the third stoppage loss.
But Mousasi finds himself victorious. But that was the end of his contract. That was the last. That was the last bout of his contract. I put together an article. I'm not sure if it's up on Fightful. I didn't have a chance to see if it's got posted yet on FightfulMMA.com. And I just talked about the black, the white, no pun intended, Dana White, the black, the white, and the gray that is now put forth in front of us based on what happened at UFC 210, specifically what was mentioned by both parties at the post-fight press conference. Dana White obviously saying he's the one. So the black is this. Dana White saying, so the question is, Mousasi wants to get paid way more money based on the fact that he's defeated fighters in the UFC that make way more money, from Vitor Belfort to Mark Hunt. He thinks he could smash Bisping, who makes a lot more money, blah, blah. Dana White's saying, look, Mark Hunt, Vitor Belfort, when we get these guys to headline in their countries, they have a whole country behind them. They can sell out in minutes. Not sure if Gegard Mousasi can do that. Mousasi's saying, well, put me in Holland and we'll see if I could sell out or not. And Mousasi's like, I've already beaten these guys. I deserve more money. And Dana White says basically that this guy's not, he doesn't have the pull. Mousasi talks about beating Dan Henderson. Dan Henderson's a living legend. He's got a following. No matter where he goes, he's going to sell tickets. Mousasi's like, you can put me in Japan, in the States, in Canada, in Europe, in Holland. People are going to want to see me. And I'm one of the youngest guys in this division. I'm a threat to everybody in this division. So all this is getting put together. Then Dana says, you know what? I like Mousasi. I'd like to have him back. Mousasi says, yeah, you know what? I'd like to be back. But let's not forget he was a Strikeforce champion, and that was run by Scott Coker, who's over at Bellator right now with Viacom telling Scott Coker and Bellator, get out there and sign the best free agents. Holy smokes, is this going to be fun to follow?
Yes, 100%. And I'm going to admit this right here, Joe. I am biased. I'm all for fighters getting more money. Plain and simple. All the just a little bit. Just completely biased. No, again, no fighter would be it's so silly if anyone would not test free agency in any aspect in the way it is. So you have someone that, again, young, has 50 fights, still has so much fight left in him. He has that history already with Scott Coker. And the huge opportunity for him to pretty much walk in there and just smash everyone at 185.
Absolutely. TG Defense for Life says, if Bisping versus GSP gets booked and Mousasi resigns and there's no immediate rematch versus Weidman, should Mousasi face Romero since Romero has been waiting for a title shot? My answer is yes.
I can see that. Yeah. But again, Yoel probably wants to. Yoel now wants to get an interim belt for some reason. So
don't we all?
Interim belts for all. But no, the point being, yeah, no, it's confusing. Again, I'm not the one that has to make this decision. It's just I don't know. Like GSP might need to like what's it called? Basically, I think there's rumblings of the idea that fall. So who knows how long that. Well, we all know what fall would be. So there's that, and then what happens with the middleweight division. So it's again, it's a lot of moving chips, but Mousasi finds himself in a great place. If they want him to fight Yoel Romero, it's going to cost him.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, and
I'm sure.
TJD, I know you mentioned that Jacare going to be next in line for a title shot if he makes quick work of Whitaker. My answer is no, because Romero's beaten Jacare, and I don't think that rematch needs to take place just yet. I think Romero gets that title shot. He fights the winner of Bisping versus GSP if that takes place in July. And of course, if not, Romero should be fighting Musashi if that rematch doesn't take place. Sorry, you're trying to finish a point there, Elias?
No, I was agreeing with you.
Okay. Ninja Pirate says Dan Kelly has Elias's number.
There you go. Well, he's got a number with someone else, not me. What's it called? I have an opponent. I have a fight coming up, so I'm excited. Getting myself back in. So, hey, Dan wins his next one. I win my next one. There you go.
We can't share when and where yet, right?
I don't think so. I don't know. I signed my contract.
Damn it. I just want to say it. Okay. We have to wait, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, we don't want Elias, myself, and Fightful MMA to get in any sort of trouble. We wait till Elias gives us the green light, or if the UFC gives us the green light, and then we'll discuss whose opponent is going to be and when it will take place. All I know is it's going to be an awesome fight, and I can't wait to see it go down. And, of course, Elias just making an absolute mockery of us Canadians because he's so awesome in there, and you just can't figure out what the hell he's doing sometimes. He drives us all nuts. Yeah, you're killing me. Every time you fight.
If I don't know what I'm doing, how are you gonna know what I'm doing?
Right? Welcome to Showdown Joe's rule, and all of us that follow you religiously to make sure you leave there absolutely okay.
Sure.
And of course, Ninja Pirate also says respect to Elias for speaking up for higher fighter pay. That's a given, man. Everyone definitely. I mean, the only people that don't believe that fighters deserve more would be the people that are likely paying them, because they're running a business and they're trying to make as much money from a revenue perspective and trying not to hide it from the fighters, but to at the very least saying, man, this is what you're worth. And you're not going to get more from Bellator. You're not going to get more anywhere else. And this is what you're worth, hypothetically speaking. So, I do champion the cause for the all fighters, men and women, to make way more money than they are. George St. Pierre said it in our Gentleman's Expo talk. I ain't fighting for 8% anymore. I want more. Don't blame him.
Don't blame him at all.
TJD Fins for life. Oh, we're moving right away to the event this weekend. Do you think Hayes has a good chance against Money Mouse after Elliott went to war with him? There's always a chance, but this is Demetrius Johnson, arguably the perfect mixed martial artist. Elias, I mean, your thoughts?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I will agree with that. He definitely has a chance. I just think it's just one of those things where it's just, unless you have breakaway performances, even Elliott had his breakaway performance, but that still wasn't enough.
Yeah, and that was a great fight by Timothy, man. I mean, I missed the guy at Titan. Obviously, I'm very happy that he's over in the UFC now doing his thing. But that was a great performance against Demetrius Johnson. But DJ is the man. Don't forget, guys, girls, live chat is up there. I'm reading as many as I can. Ninja Pirate says people have turned on the Diaz brothers for wanting more money. I don't know if they've turned on them for wanting more money. I think it's more of a situation where people just want to see the Diaz brothers compete.
Yep.
I mean, they're just, anytime Nate or Nick compete, I mean, I'm biting at it. I'm just chomping at the bit. I can't wait to see all the pre-fight festivities, all the disasters they're going to cause when they're on the microphone, because they're as real as anyone's ever going to get. And then they fight, man. They just fight. So I don't know if people have turned on them for the money, and more or less they just turned and saying, "We just want you to fight, man."
No, very true. And one could even talk about the idea of, we talked about it with Anthony Johnson. But what about them? What's their real desire to get back in there? Is it just money? And at the end of the day, that's what it really is all about. I think Nick is a little bit more jaded than Nate in some regards. I think Nick feels that, especially with the marijuana, suspension, in many ways that kind of left him bitter. Nate at this point says himself, because again, he's beat McGregor, arguably the biggest person in MMA ever. Not even arguable. It's not even arguable. Never mind. But the point being, and he lost a very close fight to him. So why wouldn't he want to? Why would he hold out? Why wouldn't he not want to get the trilogy and have a second one on him? And that they're both sitting on money, and they're again, I congratulate any fighter who is thinking about a 10-point plan, and they are both synonymous in regards to the cannabis culture in the States, specifically California, and they're making a killing, I hope, doing events, signings, and smoke parties. Like if you can make 5-10 grand to just show up at a marijuana shop and sign some stuff, take some pictures, and burn a couple of joints, why wouldn't you do that 10 times over a year?
Yeah.
Like again,
I mean,
they're both they both have a large enough following to basically, again, I'm gonna stop saying again, but the point I'm trying to basically come across, a lot of this is about staying relevant, and if they have their own feed in regards to social media, I think Nate has hit that $1 million or million person threshold. I think somewhere like Nick is about 400,000 or whatever like that. You just got to stay relevant, and if they can create some content on top of their channel, which touches on the different brands, different markets and stuff that they're trying to, different spheres that they hit anyways. They're synonymous, like I said, with cannabis. So if they can just continue doing that and move forward, and I think Nick has his own bong. I think they both have their own rolling papers. So if you own those, and you just are able to create a little cart on your website. I don't even know if they have a website, but the point being is either website or anything else, they can create revenue strand. And if Nate got paid $2 million American dollars, which is probably like a $1 trillion Canadian. But anyways,
Canadian.
The point being, if they're smart at putting their money away in a certain spot, the key is if they're smart with their money, they can just sit on that. Like it's the beginning of actual income. And I think Nick got 500,000 for his fight with Anderson Silva. So that's some decent change. And your ability to basically once you have somewhat of that's not necessarily a nest egg. Well, it'd be a nest egg for most people, most 9-to-5s. If you had $1 million. The idea being they have potential, and if they don't need to fight, if they don't want to fight, then they're not fighting.
TJD Fins for Life. Are you taking Elliot over Smolka? Oh yes, I am. Elias?
I can see that. But
okay.
Smolka, what's it called?
Again, I'm being biased. Obviously,
yes.
I'm completely and utterly biased from my Titan FC experience calling Timothy fight. So
yes, there you go. But to point, your man Usman killed it.
Kamaru's my boy. Kamaru's my boy. Did you hear what he did to me at the post-fight press conference?
Killed it. Go on. No.
Well, it was not that he did anything to me. I was he came in, he was dressed in his custom attire, very nice African heritage, beautiful, had the hat and everything like that. But he sits down, I get my picture, I throw it up on Instagram. There's my boy Kamaru Usman doing his thing. I go back, I sit down. I didn't want to be that guy that asked the questions at that point there. Just sit back and let the media do their thing while Kamaru, he's shining. And I'm sitting there, not even 4 or 5 minutes into it, I hear laughter. And all the media turn around and they're all looking at me and they're pointing at me, and Kamaru's laughing. And I'm like, this guy talks shit about me again. What did he do? It's no different than you doing an interview and dropping my name, right? Turns out he was being extremely complimentary of me, using my name to up his game, apparently, in terms of MMA and how he's got to be on point. So here I am thinking the guy talk trash about me, and I walk over there. I'm like, what just happened here, right? I didn't mean to crash anyone's interview, but the guy was talking trash about me. But man, he looked fantastic, and good on him, because he beat Sean Strickland. That's not an easy task. He dominated him, then goes out and says, you know what, Neil Magny, what's up? I think it's fantastic.
I think it's fantastic too. And he showed, I'm trying to think about the fight itself. He was dominant in regards to his strikes, and that's what Strickland's known for. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he went out there saying he was the best grappler in 170, which is a huge thing to say when you're in the same weight class with Damian Maia, but I digress. The point being, he showed his hands really well. Like, I think it's just overall fight IQ and just awareness in the cage was impressive, full and through. I became a fan that night.
Ninja Pirate, you made a comment a little further up. Um, you're not going to be happy when you find out certain news on. We'll see if we bring it up on Monday. I thank you, Ninja Pirate, for the exceptional compliment that you just put up there about me, but you're probably not going to be happy come Monday. Come join us on Monday. I don't know who my guest is going to be, but yeah, I've been quiet about something for quite some time, and people will now see it this weekend. I'll leave it at that. Can Ngannou drop down a 205-pound division? TJ, no way. Francis Ngannou cannot drop to 205, man. I stood next to that guy with Kamaru. That
Yeah,
dude is a monster.
yeah.
There's no chance he can get down. I mean, there's always a chance. No, actually, no. Elias, can you get to 170?
Nope. I like my legs. They have to grow back.
And that's my point. I mean, I had this conversation with Elias at the Ultimate Fighter Nation's debut. I think we were at Sportsnet 360. Then we went to the restaurant bar afterwards, and we had this conversation. I think even before we had this conversation, and then you kind of flexed your thigh, and I'm like, 170. There's just
No,
no chance. Like, this guy's a monster.
no.
He's got
Tree
Sidney
trunks.
Crosby legs. Yeah, they're tree trunks. They're hockey player legs. Good old Canadian.
Man.
We got about 5 minutes left in the show. I could expand on my next question, or I could just be short with it. No pun intended, because I'm only 5'7". And let's see if Elias will behave himself, get himself in trouble, or not. UFC 210, New York State Athletic Commission. Implant Gate.
Well, again, it's the conversation is the idea of miscommunication. Then you have just the parallels with Dana White calling it fake news just upset me. But the point being,
Yeah, that was. I mean, sorry, Dana. Come on, man. It was good on some of the media. Anyways, I explained yesterday how bad that was for Dana to do that. But it's
yes,
right. Go ahead.
it creates unfortunate parallels with one of his friends. But the point being, no, it's confusion. If it's part of the commission aspect, you can understand the craziness of it, and so many moving parts. And one athletic commissioner says this, and then there's a rebuttal and there's a communication. So it was just unfortunate. Just another reason why it's very confusing and very almost not worth it to fight in New York.
I mean, I felt horrible for Pearl Gonzalez. Obviously, she, you got to make weight. She did what she could. She made the weight. She struggled. For those that don't know, she weighed in naked. They had the tube up. Okay, she was in the tube, made the weight, so she obviously struggled to get to 126. Gets there, and then the news comes out after everything was said and done. We were all getting ready to wrap up, and then we got all the information. Me and another media member tried to speak with the Nevada State Athletic Commissioner after he had already come out and talked about the Daniel Cormier incident, then leaves. Then we get the news. Then we try and get him back, and he's like, no comment, no comment, no comment. And then, I went to the UFC PR staff saying, look, I'm not asking for something on the record. If you can't give it on the record, you can give it to me off the record. You can give it to me later on. I know you're finally enjoying breakfast, but, and was told, listen, we have no information right now. And then Dana saying, you guys could have all gone to our PR staff. And I'm looking going, yeah, I did that. We're told otherwise. So it was just weird. I felt bad for Pearl. I really hope she's not labeled in the way that she is, because that's kind of personal business. People can assume and say whatever they want about a girl's anatomy, but that's personal information for her. Now everyone knows because she had to publicly admit it. But good for her. She was able to fight, but she took on Cynthia Calvillo, who Dana White's huge on right now. And I don't know if I'm buying the fact that she's going to be a star just yet. She does have some qualities, but for me, and I've been around this game for a long time, I don't see it just yet in Cynthia. Do you?
I think the bigger conversation is just showing that when the UFC wants to create a star, they can create a star. So if they're sprinkling some of that stuff, one might argue, why aren't they sprinkling it on all the rest of us? So, or more of us. But yeah, so again, they're trying to create a star. You can do that with many other people. This is what was promised to us with the takeover of WME. Let's see it.
Absolutely. Hey, Ninja Pirate, wasn't personal. and it wasn't my call. Monday, we can discuss live on the Fightful MMA podcast, because obviously the news will hit when people see what's going on. Sorry to be cryptic, ladies and gentlemen. A little bitter over a situation, but it is what it is. Before we let you go, look at TJ Fightful. Okay, Sean Ross Sapp. She's only been a pro for 8 months. Weird to think UFC wants to push her so hard. Yeah, totally. But I think you mentioned in the Sage Northcutt / there's another name that was mentioned, but these people that Dana White tries to promote that eventually don't become who they are, because I mean, there's lightning in a bottle, then there's the it factor, like Chael Sonnen, like Conor McGregor. Those are the people that sort of stand out to me. Nick Diaz, they've got their own factor. It's just an awesome factor that they have. They don't even realize what they're doing, and they just do it, and it's fantastic. Before we let you go, TJD Fins for Life says Elias needs to get a TKO by leg kicks in his next fight. Could be possible.
Anything's possible. We put a man on the moon.
We did.
Did we?
Absolutely.
Did we? Not we.
Yes.
Because we're Canadians. We were just there.
Yeah. Do we have? Actually, the space arm was created by Canadians, but that's about exactly.
That never went to the moon. That never went to the moon.
All right. We're gonna let you go with one final thought. The Predator, Patrick Cote, hangs up his gloves in a stellar fight versus Thiago Alves, which should have got fight of the night, in my opinion. Good on Thiago Alves for emerging victorious, but Patrick Cote, I was fighting back tears. Obviously, I was lucky enough to call his first few fights in UCC and TKO. I think the first fight was against Jan Pellerin at 205 pounds. And I said, this guy belongs at middleweight, and he retired a welterweight. But your thoughts on a guy you know fairly well in Patrick Cote, who's walking away from the sports?
Yeah, no, not too many people are nicer and tougher than that man. He's a sweetheart all the way through. He's also a stone cold killer. He's had 2 renaissance in regards to his career. Obviously, becoming a top contender to face Anderson Silva, and then to resurge again as a welterweight. Obviously, the team captain of my season of The Ultimate Fighter. In many ways, he really embraced that role as a captain, sparring with all of us when we had our fights coming up and stuff like that, especially more so when we were fighting Australians. But the point being, he's a great guy. Always, I wish him nothing but health and happiness moving in his future. He is a father of a baby girl, a beautiful baby girl that is only a couple of months old, if my memory serves correct. So I'm excited for him and his new family's next chapter. And he's one of the people, again, he's a success story, not only in Canadian mixed martial arts, of what he was able to inspire a generation of fighters like myself, and also Canadian MMA fans, but he'll be leaving in a better place than most in regards to mixed martial arts. The fight game is a hard game, and I'm really happy for him to be on a positive foot moving into the next chapter of his life.
There are many guys that I don't want to go to Vegas with, you being one of them. I've been to Vegas with Patrick, but I just realized my worst nightmare would be you and Patrick and myself in Las Vegas. I don't want to talk about it anymore. This is not a good conversation for the kids that are tuned in right now. Elias, before we let you go, I know, you mentioned, we talked off top of the show, you're going to be driving home. Sunshine outside, my friend, as you can see. It's back. It's good. I want to wish you a very safe drive from Montreal all the way back home. What's next for you over the next 7 days before we talk to you next on Tuesday?
I'm doing a bunch of stuff in Toronto. Got a whole week's worth of stuff. Then I'm back here in Montreal, off to LA. No, I don't know. Just bouncing around. The usual stuff. Where will I be next? Probably my place. Where will I be after that? Probably LA. Where will I be after that? Possibly Vegas. So we got options.
I live a sad life when one of the most exciting days or exciting moments of my Tuesdays is when you actually click and you pop up on my screen and I get to see the background and I get to know where you are, because I never know where you are, except for the disturbing time you were topless in a hot tub.
So you're saying you want another round of that?
No, please.
Okay.
I mean, who was it that was freaking out on social media? Oh, Julie Kedzie.
Everyone. Yes.
Everyone, that's right. Julie Kedzie was just, I'm not going to say, oh, I almost slipped there. Anyways, I won't. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much to everybody who joined us on the live chat, who joined us watching us live here. We thank you very much to those that are tuning in afterwards on iTunes and Stitcher. We love your support. I say it all the time. I started it yesterday. I'll say it again. Everyone, please just tell one friend. Just tell one friend about the Fightful MMA podcast. We will grow. We will double our viewership every day if everyone tells one friend to tune in every week or every podcast. We want to grow this. Obviously, Fightful MMA is new. We proved to the UFC we can do a fantastic job in covering a UFC event. I think we're going to a Bellator event, but there's so much more. Sorensen, WKT, catch you behind the bleachers, Joe. I know what you're doing. I know what you're saying. But thanks again to everybody. Elias Theodorou, make sure you do follow him online at Elias Theodorou. Hashtag the main event, not MAIN, MANE, because he has a blue chip sponsor in Pert Plus. He's an absolute awesome follow. Some crazy stuff he posted on Twitter that I saw the other day about spinach and hearts, and they're growing hearts or blood cells in the heart. Thought that was absolutely cool. His Instagram is a debacle. Yesterday was a Monday. You fool. You fool with your man bun. I thought it was fantastic. Actually, good job on that. So make sure you follow Elias online at Elias Theodorou. Follow yours truly, Joe Ferraro, on social media at Showdown Joe. Follow the site at Fightful MMA. And for all of your mixed martial arts news, FightfulMMA.com. Next week, tomorrow, Sean Pearson will be pretty bitter because obviously when I was in Buffalo, the reception was terrible or the Wi-Fi was terrible, so we weren't able to get a podcast with Sean Pearson. So it's 2 weeks worth of Sean Pearson being irritable, dropping F-bombs. If the kids are listening, make sure you put some earmuffs on. So tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern, unless Sean says 10 p.m. Eastern. Who knows? But just follow me on social media. I'll give you the exact time. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. For now, we say ciao for now.